Hello, 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 hello. Okay, okay. Is it working? Test, 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 test. All right. So basically, I have a really annoying situation right now. My computer has a really like it's more than annoying. It's like the sound, the screeching sound that it's making. I have to basically like so I have to for the most of the reading, I have to like take my computer um and put it like at the other side of the room, or else it's just impossible. And I just did one and it went very successfully. So and I have to have like sound playing, but these are like soundproof. But let me just try it out. Hold up, hold on, because I can't hear it either. Let me just see if I have music on. It's just such an unbearable sound. Yes, 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 yes. See if you hear it. Hold on. No, no, no. Test speaker. Test, test, test. Test, 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 test. Okay, wow. It really doesn't. All right, well, whatever. Let's just jump in. Um, okay. Or maybe if I have the music on, I can have it closed. Let's see. No, I think I'm gonna go ahead and move it. Okay. So, got a lot of Libra with the South Node there. The Sun, back-to-back readings with Sun and South Node together. Interesting. And I didn't choose this reading in order. I have like a bunch of people who bought on the same date as you, and I'm kind of just going through them based on kind of intuitive feeling of whether I want to, what, whether I'm in the mood for that type of chart or not. So, what's really, really important for you to understand is that in astrology, there are 12 signs and 6 axes. And and I don't know your level of astrology, so excuse me if you know that. But basically, Aries Libra is one of the axes, and each axis is a different theme. They're opposite signs, so they're the same energy, but the opposite manifestation, right? Like black and white. Um, so in essence, um, when you have an axis that's highlighted, meaning that it's like showing up a lot in your chart, you know that karmically that's an area where you're meant to really look at you're really meant to look at that, right? um okay, way better. This is actually working. weirdly the music, because I have like sound blocking, so the music is like it's like just this random music from my video game that's just like the menu music. It's like making it so I can't hear the screeching sound. But yeah, for now. So anyway, where's my iPad? Where's my Big Star book? Where's my okay. I want to actually do one thing before I do this. I need to check one more thing. No. Okay, no, I just looked at your thing. Oh, you're out. I know who you are. So I have to check the Squarespace. She knows her stuff, is what I wrote. She knows her stuff. And now I know who you are, but I've never looked at your photos on purpose. Okay, let me read this real quick. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Extra special reading. So yeah, that's like everything I specialize in anyways, right? The past life stuff, karmic stuff. Excuse my throat. I appreciate that what you wrote in the message. So, mm, okay, let's do this. Okay, so that, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm happy actually. Usually I like to look at the Squarespace stuff at the end, but I'm happy I looked at yours before. I just had an intuitive feeling that I need to look at yours, and I was correct because I would have known if you were, what your level was. So good thing I know. Okay. Um, so, yeah, so you know your stuff pretty well. So, um, basically, the south node with the sun, it's difficult because oh fuck, I forgot the end. Sorry. I wanted to send um your chart to my iPad, the screenshot. But yeah, so while I'm doing that, I'll just talk. So the axes, they really speak to the themes, and not everyone has these activated. For you, Aries, Libra, like, and we're gonna really break it down. Let me just send a screenshot. Okay, okay, perfect. So I can move this. I hope they can fix my computer, like, good. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, you see that first house. Um, so of course, like being a Holstein astrologer, I still, work with placements as well, especially in a chart like this, 27 rising with sun, that's a 12th house sun to me. I don't go fuck. Um, to me that's a 12th house sun. I mean, of course, like you can kind of like mix both um together, but to me, when it's that far behind the ascendant, that's to me that's a 12th house sun. Um, that's just me personally. I know that I'm whole sign, but I'm really about truth. You know, I like it just will never make sense that you can tell me that that is not you know, that that is not a 12th house sun. So we got a bunch of stuff going on here. Ascendant, Mercury, South Node series, Sun, Palace. So all that's in Libra in the first, which obviously is the house of Aries. So Libra risings, it flips everything over. So, you know, normally the first house is the house of Aries, um, and the seventh house is the house of Libra, or connected to Aries and connected to Libra. So, Libra rising is very trippy. It's a very trippy. It's a very trippy rising sign because it kind of, it's, you know, for every placement you have, it's in the opposite house. Like your moon in, you know, in Virgo, it's in the house of Pisces, the opposite sign of Virgo. So you're working with a lot of opposites of the Libra rising, and you know, it really is a very karmic rising sign, and a very spiritual rising sign, in my opinion, because I think that it forces you to really accept and delve into polarities. I still haven't fully defined, you know, the significance of Libra rising. That's like the best I can kind of explain it right now, but there's something it's a very unique experience, let's just say, and yeah. So obviously there's a ton of Libra, and the North Node is in Aries, but it's in the house of Libra. So people ask me a lot, what does that mean, Jesse? Well, it means, and of course it would be in the sixth house in Placidus, let's not forget. But you know, it's close enough to the ascendant for either way for me to, you know, for that to resonate, you know, with the seventh. But to me, that means it just reinforces the need to balance out that Aries Libra axis. So what is the Aries Libra axis? Well, my friend, the Aries Libra axis is very, very related to relationships, not just to, you know, others, but to yourself. It's actually related to the balance of the relationship you have with others and the relationship you have with yourself. Um, as an example, the extreme, right? The extreme of Aries would be just like, I don't give a fuck, you know, like I'm doing me, um, not willing to compromise at all. Supreme independence, selfishness. That's the extreme. Extreme of Libra is codependent. I can't live without you. I can't, you know, like I need a relationship to feel worthy, that kind of shit. So, Mika, that's kind of, you know, what's going on there. The goal, right, is to obviously find a middle ground in that. And karmically, with your South Node in Libra in the first house, which is close, you know, closest to Mercury, um, and of course, you know, it could be looked at the 12th house. I know. But the point being that there is an imbalance, basically. So how does one how does one gain that balance, right? How does one, really, really gain that balance? And for me, I think that a lot of it has to do with, really looking at your relationship patterns. And, like Libra has a tendency, like I said, to give, and almost to the point of where it's bringing itself down. That's one of the pitfalls of Libra, is that it can be a little bit, I was gonna say mean. Mika, get off my computer. Bad girl. Bad Mika. A little bit mean to itself, I guess. I don't know. At times, right? So yeah, I think it's just very, very important, to look, yeah, to look at those tendencies, and just really, make sense, make sense of it, right? What is, like if you think about the give and take in your relationship, where are they at? Are you someone who's giving, giving, giving? Are you someone who's taking, taking, taking? Um, because Libra, it's the balance, of course. So it has that internal feeling of needing everything to feel, um, to feel good, and to feel chill, and to feel like everyone's happy and so forth. And you add, the Virgo moon to the mix, and suddenly you have, like everything that Virgo moon brings to the table, which, Virgo moon can be very, very perfectionist. It can sometimes intellectualize emotions, meaning, it's a Mercury ruled moon sign, so it can sometimes not feel too comfortable dealing with emotions, and be more about, logic, I guess. So yeah, I think really, North Node in Aries in the seventh. Um, you're really trying to, the key is having relationships that are balanced in terms of the give, the take, where there's a lot of peace, tranquility, all that, but where you're able to keep your air independence, Aries, right? Um, where you're able to have freedom, Aries, but while also, being able to compromise, Libra, um, where there's fairness, Libra, where there's, peace, Libra, but where, you're able to communicate in a way that's not toxic but still assertive, right? Where you're able to, um still have a good relationship, a very good relationship, but not have that be the everything. I mean, like, it can be a huge part of your life, obviously, but still not get swept like so many Libras do. Is what happens is that they get swept through the currents. The currents take them of the relationship, and their friends disappear, this and that, and this and that. You're born in 86. You have, is it Chiron and, yeah, Gemini. So we'll get to that a little bit. But yeah, um it's fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff, to have that much of that axis. And I wanna see what the nodes are doing, because they're squaring Mars, so that's interesting. Let's see if there's any on the other side. Hmm. Lemonade. Lemonades. Hmm. Yeah, hmm. Midheaven too. 10 degrees difference time. Uranus and Chiron. So yeah, I mean, in past lives, you've been able to be someone who's a healer, who's been able to, help other people. You've been able to successfully, be your own individual. Um, you've been able to kind of move past a lot of what happened. What I see in a lot of charts, when I see it, what I see in many charts, which is the past life conditioning. But with the Mars square, Mars and Capricorn. Ooh, I love that place. And actually, if you see my Instagram story, if it's still up by the time you get this, um, you'll see that I made a story that was like, what if you had to change? It was like a question for people to answer, and it was like, if you had to choose change one personal planet, what would it be and what would it be too? And I said I would change my Mars and Aquarius, even though I love it, to Mars and Capricorn because Mars and Capricorn is a fucking powerhouse. So I said, um, so yeah, I just want to put that out there first. That Mars and Capricorn, first 30 years, it's not easy peasy. Especially since it's on your IC, which would, usually speak to some difficulty in childhood, usually. It's usually kind of feeling like a very like yeah, very like volcanic home environment. Um and let's see, hold up. Yeah, okay. 10, okay, 10, 8. Okay. So yeah, that's very, very common for that. And also another commonality is the feeling of having or feeling like one had to grow up very, very fast. Um and the first 30 years just being kind of this grind, this real like, ugh, is it ever gonna change? Am I ever gonna like get past this stuff? Um so yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted for sure. Um let me see. Oh, then you got that Jupiter retrograde in Pisces and sick. That's a lovely place and poses your moon too. Hold on just a second. I need to think about something. Hmm. Sometimes I need to just stop and close my eyes and have the chart in my brain and try with. Yeah. So yeah, I think like, Mars is a skip step. Um, with Libra South Node, even though, Chiron and Uranus nicely aspect, I still think that um oftentimes there's this feeling of not having acted in the correct manner, not in like a negative way, but like um, maybe missed out on some kind of opportunity. There can be some like, repressed anger of sorts. Um, so it's all about the will, instinct, the kind of instinct. Um, and yeah, a lot, I always think of it as like, yeah, just like unresolved anger. Um, and just like kind of like a carried over frustration. Um, and people with this, sometimes they can feel like this anger, but they don't know where it's coming from. They don't know like, why do I feel this? Like, what the fuck? Like, where's this from? Um, because like a lot of times I think of it as like, the intention, right? Mars, the intention of the soul in the past life was pushed away, was distorted in some kind of, perhaps they were, dominated, or there's something, like that, um, where there could have been like an unmet need for independence, um, which, leads to that kind of suppressed anger. And in relationships that can show up, as a paradox where like you want to grow, you want, that freedom to grow with someone else, but then there's also that fear of kind of entrapment. Um, so yeah, I think like also there can be some struggles around in career, like how you can assert yourself. Um, because Mars rules Aries, right? So it's like Mars rules Aries, and that's your North Node sign. Um, so you're really in this lifetime trying to find, grapple with and find the right level of energy, the right level of fire, Um, hmm, something else came to me. Yeah, so it's really about like asserting, what you really want, like your desires, like what you really, really want, and that clashing with that need for cooperation, that need for compromise, that Libra, right? Um, so it's all about that reflection. And this is like such a massive thing for your whole chart. That reflection, how can I express my own needs with assertiveness, or assertion, or is it assertiveness, but do it but at the same time, do that while respecting the kind of needs of others, I guess you could say, right? So imbalances in that have plagued you in past lives, is basically what I am saying. Another thing about this is because of like the potential for that frustration, one has to watch out for like impulsive acts. Um, it's just important not to do stuff that's cray cray, and yeah, it's just it yeah it's just like it can definitely lead to like kind of stress related, like if you're overworking yourself, for example, or if you're working in a way that's not like true to your calling, there can be some health issues, right? So yeah, having, and you have a sixth house Jupiter, so that's really good for your day-to-day exercise, all that stuff, but like still it's very important to really lock in on a very, very healthy um, daily routine, I guess you could say. Mm, mm, mm. Okay. So, hmm. See, I mean, you know the rundown on Libra. Um, low Libra versus high Libra, right? I mean, we understand that with this axis, you're trying to take the best of Libra and the best of Aries and leave behind the worst of Libra and the worst of Aries, right? So there's a lot of ways in which Aries needs to borrow from Libra, and Libra needs to borrow from Aries, right? So one way Aries needs to borrow from Libra. Well, no, let's start with one way. So ways that Libra, because you have so much Libra, right? Aries, you don't actually have any Aries. That's the thing. You have only your North Node, which isn't a planet, Vesta, which is an asteroid, which, and yeah. So you have no Aries. You have a ton of Libra in terms of like your personal planets and yeah. So um what does Libra need? How can Libra look, take from its opposite sign, Aries? Aries is just that strong, fiery Martian energy, right? It just does. It doesn't think. Libra tends to kind of consider every option, weigh the pros and cons, and before it knows it, someone else makes a decision for them, and they can just feel all that anxiety. And like I said, you add the Virgo moon to it, and then it can be even more over analysis and someone who might be a little bit hard on themselves. So they need to learn to first of all create a value system, almost like a declaration of not independent, but like like almost like a rule book, like different rules, morals, guiding principles that you live your life based off of, and from that, that's how you make your decisions. Um, so and I think that that ultimately is what makes things a lot easier for people who have a ton in one sign or in Libra, excuse me. Um, Otherwise it can just be very, very difficult. So that's step one, and just being very mindful of that potential, right? Of that potential to kind of you know allow things to yeah, to kind of allow things to, I guess you could say, get out of hand. Um, I think Libra also can borrow from Aries. So Aries is all about action, um, and it's very instinctual. And I believe that everyone has the capability, the potential, to be very instinctual. Um, I think everyone has it in them to be, this instinctual, this being that can feel into their instincts and act based on them. Um, so yeah, I guess that's kind of how I see it. It's just really, really about yeah, not fearing that, not fearing that, not fearing pissing people off. Um, and yeah, and then just with relationships, like I already said, just really, really that balance is what's needed. So, with respect to the fact that your sun is in the 12th house, in Placidus, first house in whole sign. Um, 12th house Suns, really interesting people. They really need a certain amount of alone time. Um, they yeah, they really need a certain amount of alone time. Um, they are really tapped into the collective unconscious, and um, it's just more difficult. They like without the alone time, I feel like it's very difficult for a 12th house sun, because some of their best moments will be when they're alone, right? A lot of their best moments, a lot of their greatest revelations will come when they're alone. So, that just speaks to that, the importance of that. And when I think of the 12th house sun, I think of the word zeitgeist. Um, and what that means to me is just being really tapped in, and that can be very good, or it can be, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you feel everything so intensely, like, and there's a big need for energetic protection, because one's energetic boundaries are often, is Neptune involved? No. Yeah. No. Yeah, yep. Neptune square Sun. Yeah. So one's, especially so, like, having like um 12th house Pisces, then having all this Libra. Libra, is the sign that you know tends to lack the physical, or the physical boundaries. And Neptune, Pisces, 12th house, that's the energetic boundaries. So it's very important for you, in respect to who you surround yourself with, what kind of environments you allow yourself to I guess exist in, whether it's your work, um, your relationship, all that stuff. Super important. And and that's the thing, being a Libra, it's a very social sign, right? Libra, they just know how to socialize, and they're very good at it. They tend to, get a lot out of it. So I just feel like, I feel like there as a Libra, you have to be extra careful, I guess you could say, um to not take on the wrong types of people, to not take on, to not like, through any like social escapades, um to kind of let someone enter, because with the Neptune, with the Libra, it can be very hard. I'm not saying that this is you. I'm just saying that just those energies in general, they're very, like, they want to help, and I just feel like it's very important to, yeah, to really kind of have everything aligned, or everything set, all the rules set, all that stuff. Um, so Having Mercury rising though, that is a very interesting placement. Um, Mercury right on the ascendant. It, so well, first of all, even, as a Libra rising, that's known for its beauty, right? Um, Venus ruled chart. Your Venus is in Scorpio. Um, but Mercury conjunct the Sun ascendant, it creates kind of what you would think of as ideas people, right? And it's a big time, big time communicator, um, and someone yeah, someone who wants to express themselves really. Um, so I think I think also like usually like it's like very much about like one-on-one conversation, but like with the Libra, you're still, definitely, I would imagine, very good at chatting with groups of people. But there's a certain amount of like pizzazz, right? Like elegance and the like this mind that's always kind of racing. It's very good for memory. That's one thing about Mercury rising. It's great for memory. And yeah, it just makes the mind very active. Um, so also, yeah, so the Mercury, whether you're Gemini rising, or Mercury rising, you keep the youthful look throughout your whole life. I think that's so cool. Um, not whole life, but like, like Mercury rules youth, so rising is how you look. So, it's 1 degree from your ascendant. So, well, less than a degree, 0.34, yeah, like half a degree. So, yeah. So any career, or anything that involves communication, sales, anything like that, any kind of writing, anything like that is very, very, very good. But just also in social life, Um, so yeah, you're someone who can really, really do well in social situations, I would imagine. But then we go back to that. So this is what's so interesting about your chart is that there's that, right? But then there's this really intense side because regardless of however you cut it, right? Um, Regardless of however you sweat it, or sweat it. What am I saying? Slice it. Ah. Regardless of however you slice it, right? Whether it's whole sign or or Placidus, your moon's in the 12th in whole sign, and your sun's in the 12th in Placidus. So you've got that 12th house. So there is this need to feed that mouth that's very social, that that Libra, blah 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 blah. Because even if in Placidus you would have a 12th house sun and an 11th house moon, right? So it's like either way, there's a part of you that needs to socialize. There's a part of you that needs to kind of get out there in the world and be with the people and do the things and blah, 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 blah. But then there's the other part that just needs to be alone, And it's not all the time. So, I want to give my perfectionism speech because, very important. Um, but before that, I feel like maybe there's something I'm missing. I feel like there's something I'm not saying. Let me think for a second. Wee. Well, your moon is, yeah, moon, yeah, okay, moon's squaring. Saturn, that's massive, and Sun square, Neptune. Okay, so the big ones. Um, yes, just I guess things I love about Libra is they are so good at making other people feel special. Um, they care. They actually like the high vibe Libras like genuinely give a fuck about making people happy and comfortable, you know? Um, so, you know, it really is all about peace. So I think with the 12th house, it's just have I seen it? 12th house. Yeah, I just think that mm, 'cause it's like, you know, it's the 12th house sun is like it's like where you're meant to shine. It's very much like about like enlightenment, like the dissolution of the ego. Um, so it's very like a 12th house sun, it's very like non-assertive, you know? Um, so it's just yeah, it's interesting how these two match. So fascinating. I imagine that there's probably because like a lot of times like because like Libra can be, I'm not saying you are, I don't think you are, but like Libra can be a little bit fake sometimes, like as a stereotype. But like if you have a 12th house sun, like you cannot like you will call yourself out for your bullshit, you know? Um, so yeah, it's fascinating. I imagine you probably go between like different periods of time of like being like very out there and then being very like inward outward and very inward and outward, you know? Like periods of withdrawing, right? But yeah, because a lot of times like the 12th house sun, like identity can be a problem. Um, and like it can be through service. Like a lot of 12th house people, it's like really through acts of service and giving back and all that that they really find themselves. And with the fact that we've got Neptune here involved, that kind of doubles down on what I just said, right? With Neptune involved, um, you know, in that square with the sun, um, there, that can, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but like that can create that potential for identity crisis and that need to really find through service to humanity, um, leaning into that Jupiter and Pisces, um, that's how a lot of 12th house suns really find themselves and start to really feel like kind of grounded in the world and like they understand who they are and why they're here. So maybe, yeah, maybe it is something like that where it's like, um, mm, mm, hmm. Okay, moving forward. So okay, yeah. So Libra and Virgo, how did they work together? Well, um, I mean they're back-to-back signs. Um, so in the zodiacal story, Virgo is when one is, of service. It's when one realizes, okay, for me to make my dreams come true, for me to follow my passions, for me to really, really do all that stuff, there's a lot of steps that I have to take. So then Libra is the seventh step, and it is, when it's the encounter with the other, right? Relationships. So um as a as a Libra moon, or excuse me, Virgo moon, um I think that Virgo moons, it can be difficult. Um Very, very capable for sure. Very, very, very capable. But because it's a Mercury ruled moon, there can be, the over idealization, or not over intellectualization of emotions. And sometimes people with that can be a little bit, you know, distrusting of emotions. Um, so, it's really important for Virgo moons, and they can be very, very hard on themselves, right? So it's very important for Virgo moons to like understand, that there's no way to be perfect. Like I always give the metaphor of 100 or 0. Like a lot of times Virgo moons, it's that black or white thinking, and it's just key for them to grade each day, and if the best you did, as long as you did the best you can do, some days, it's not like about, and you're from America, so you're from like the just do it culture, right? So um you know I think that Virgo placements are the ones that can really have trouble with that, because they have such high standards for themselves, and sometimes they feel like other people are like way higher than they are, and they can sometimes feel like they're way lower than they actually are, when really it's the opposite, like they're high, the other person's low. And just be, yeah, so it's really like they can become, and it's, like in the 12th house in the whole sign, it's like um you can become your own worst enemy, right? Whether the sun or the moon's there, depending on the system, it's like, that's a self-sabotage, that's the potential for self-sabotage, right? And Virgo moon, yeah, definitely a need to kind of go into the emotions, and not just talk about them. That's fine, all that, like, talk about your emotions all day, but really, really, really stop and feel them, and understand like the idea of self-compassion, and the idea of just really trying to have mindfulness around how hard one is. But this is the thing about Virgo, is you might be hearing me right now, you might be like, he is not, like, I do not resonate with that. And that's because Virgo is the most like impossible to understand sign. I don't care what anyone says, and Aquarius, blah blah. Okay, Aquarius in Virgo, because Virgo is just earth magic, while Pisces is cosmic magic, the opposite sign. So yeah, Virgo moons, it's just like, even if the best you could do that day is at 20, fuck it. You know, be happy with it. Learn, take it as a challenge. Like, some days you're not meant to do shit. I mean, I know life has, dictates, it is different for everyone, and we all have different lives and so forth. But like, you know, it's such a like, because I don't have Virgo in my chart, right? But like, I do have a Virgo mom, Virgo best friend. I grew up in America, and like, there's a certain anxiety that comes when you're not doing, right? And I challenge Virgos to allow themselves to just be, and to get into things like meditation, but really like just sitting, and just being. it's an earth sign, so it's very, very like healing. It can be very, very healed by nature. Can have a great effect on this sign. And overall, Virgo moons just need to be their own best friend, and they need to not be so hard on themselves and just understand that, like, sometimes they can have this energy where they're trying to push things. And I love Virgo, by the way, just so you know, like, I love Virgo. But sometimes it feels like they want to kind of like there can be like control issues. Like they're like, why hasn't this happened now? You know, like, why haven't I met this person now? Why hasn't this happened? Why hasn't that happened? And the thing about Pisces and Virgo is, um, that that Pisces teaches Virgo how to be patient and just go with God, and Virgo teaches Pisces how to, not just be overly idealistic and actually, put, not just have the dreams, but actually follow through on them. You see? So, um, yeah. But anyways, you know, if it's so there's definitely these two sides, right? So as you know definitely the life getting a lot easier post Saturn return, but I think a huge part of your chart, because you have Mars in your IC, it's opposite your midheaven. And until, like, if there are traumas, or because like a moon, and so this is what's interesting. There's like, I would guess that there was one of your parents that was like absent, or had like a bad, wasn't there in the way that they needed to be. It's tough to know. Like in class, this would be the son to be the father, and whole sign would be the mother. But until that's resolved, because it opposes your midheaven, Mars, it will be difficult for you to maximize in that area, right? In career, in dharma, in life purpose. Um, so that's that. But just having the Mars in Capricorn, it just gives you this amazing ability to, once you start things, to really follow through on them. Now, you lack fire in your chart, so starting things can be very difficult, right? Um, yeah, I mean, it's not easy when it's like finding that burning passion to really get things going can be tough when you lack fire in your chart. Um, but once you do really, really find those things, you have the follow through, like that's the earth. What the earth does, it gives you that consistency. So really, like, pushing yourself to find things that really light your fire, that really, really, like, get you going, and get you feeling like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I love to do. And that's your north node's in fire. So I know, and like, one of my indicators of an advanced soul is when they have their north node in a sign that isn't accompanied by other signs, that, like, planets of that element, right? So you have your north node in Aries, fire, and then you don't have any Sag, Aries, or Leo in personal planets. You have Saturn, but that's not counting here. So, yeah, that's kind of the struggle for lack of fire. Um, finding that motivation, finding that passion, and blah 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 blah. So Yeah. Mm. Let's see. So, oh, okay. How about this? Um, so you're obviously, a Libra is fuck, Libra AF. So Venus rules your chart, right? So where does all of this Libra energy funnel into? Well, Libra energy, the stellium in Libra funnels into Venus in Scorpio, making a beautiful, one of the best aspects in all of astrology, trine to Jupiter also. Let me, I swear I turned the music off and haven't been hearing the noise. Watch, it's gonna start the second I turn it over here. But let's just give this a try. It'd be so amazing if God just healed my computer. Okay. Um, Stop share. Can't see shit, can you? Let me turn this on. Yeah, so it funnels into Venus in Scorpio. Um, and Venus in Scorpio is very intense in love. It is Mika, relax. I'll feed you. Fed you guys so much. You guys are so spoiled. Yeah, it's better. Okay, let me pull this back up. So yeah, so it all funnels into Venus and Scorpio. Venus and Scorpio, that's that kind of soulmate type of love. You know, it's really makes someone, and this kind of what's interesting with this whole chart is like, all this Libra energy, you're still meant to shine in the Libra way. It's just about it's just that it's meant to be balanced, right? And perhaps it's like a different type of Libra. Perhaps it's like more about depth, right? This is what I'm getting at. Because like Libra can be very like surface level, right? And maybe like the low vibe, like kind of Libra, like first house, south node. Um, Maybe that's more like kind of like the type of person who maybe has a tendency to like overshare about their love life. Like their love life is okay. Okay, oh my God, he's got the download. Yeah, baby. Okay, I figured it out. No one else will figure this shit out like I just did. So past life tendency is to be a little bit like kind of what I just said, right? Now the fact that in this lifetime it all funnels into the Venus in Scorpio, which is like the most intense type of transformational love. What it's telling me is that the past like tendency before was to like have this kind of like lame type of love that there's not enough depth to it. It's a little bit selfish because it's first house, right? It's a little bit selfish and it's a little bit narcissistic. Not you like I'm just trying to think of words and paint a picture. It's a little bit like not maybe that was the wrong word. It's a little bit like the girl who just talks about yeah I met this guy, oh yeah I met that guy. Um, and doesn't take responsibility. Okay, there it is. Doesn't take responsibility, right? Like has like these cycles, and then just pushes the responsibility on to the partner and blah 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 blah. So now that all of this energy funnels in to Venus in Scorpio, it is speaking to how in this lifetime you're still meant to be Libra. You're still meant to be very, finding that balance between Aries and Libra. That be in relationships. Be the diplomat, the person in the middle. Be that person that creates peace because that's what you're great at. But you're supposed to do it in a way that's a lot deeper, right? So when it comes to your relationships, right, they are meant to be, they're meant to transform you because that's what Venus and Scorpio is about. And Venus and Scorpio people, they tend to like the intensity, right? They tend to like, um, you know, like really, really like sometimes they like fights and shit, like they like drama. Um, Lavender kombucha. What country is this shit from? Curious. Bulgaria. So random. It's their neighbors. Okay, so yeah, so yeah, I love that I saw this that it's flowing through the Scorpio. So and then the fact that Pluto is right there too, second house, it's relating to your values. So it's like a transformation of your value system in love to something that's more about the death, rebirth, transformation of yourself. So the intensity of the partnerships are meant to be deeper. And yeah, you're moving away from low Libra, and you're still you're still gonna have lots of karmic relationships and all that stuff most likely, um but there's that intensity and that need to let go, that need to um to really really take accountability and take accountability and just let go. So, yeah. And the fact that it's in the second, well, besides that being very good for money and stuff, I think that, with Pluto there, um, mm, it's about inner values, and about feeling grounded within love. There's also a whole financial component. A lot of people with Pluto in the second house, karmically, they feel, they had past lives where they were like living in survival mode, so they can have some trauma around money, and it can be even if you have Venus there, which usually is very good for money. Um, uh Still, like, it can be very difficult for them to feel like they can spend because they sometimes feel like, and I think Saturn does that a lot also, but like Pluto definitely, um resources in karmically where there's difficulty there, um and yeah, just the balance, yeah. But anyways, so that's interesting. um so more on, so obviously relationships are huge here, but more on kind of, mm, yeah, let's go here. 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 So, your moon is you have one of the most difficult aspects in astrology, which is moon, square, no, moon square Saturn. That shit's hard. Because moon is the emotions, right? And a Virgo moon is it's not necessarily. I can't stop saying, fuck. I wish I had like a. No, I don't wish that. I would hear a lot, like a pinch it every time I say, talk slower. But basically, moon square Saturn can really lead to depression. it can give someone growing up a very serious, overly serious type of vibe. Um, very, very controlled. Um, and there can be it can create loners for sure. And really, really there's a certain, the stop saying, really I like blocked. I was like, really melancholy is a potential, and it's really difficult for people who have moon square. So oftentimes moon square Saturn people, they felt an emotional distance from their parents. Usually the moon is the mother, but I've given up on trying to determine which parent it is. I just think of it as the early childhood psychological development. But there can be people who feel abandoned, unlovable, rejected, all these types of things. And I think also that it can, like I said before, it can make someone overly serious and isolated. And what can happen is that there's these key psychological stages, and if one is isolated during these times, then it could lead to missing out on a lot of very important psychological, emotional milestones. Sometimes it shows up as the lack of empathy for others. Obviously do not think that is the case for you. But really, I think that depression is something that people with this aspect um, struggle with. Of course, everything gets better with Saturn. So after, post return, 31, 32, really coming into your own. But the key is vulnerability. And being able to speak about your emotions and knowing that when you do that, it creates magic. And also, so many celebrities, so many highly successful people have this aspect, just so you know. So yeah, it's just the potential for the emotions to fail to develop adequately because of and sometimes it can even lead to like people having a lack of empathy for other people. It's a difficult one. Um, but yeah, one typically just doesn't, a lot of times just really strict parents just doesn't feel like they were nurtured well enough, and they just don't feel it has an effect on their relationships too. They really have to work hard and do a lot of inner work to not feel that feeling of isolation and block and that feeling of feeling blocked and all that stuff, right? Um, so yeah. Um, so Sun square Neptune, that's very, very massive, massive one. So Sun square Neptune, that is all about identity. Now we already talked about the 12th house Sun. So in Placidus, right? But I really feel like 12th house Sun. So the fact that it's square Neptune, it creates someone, if they do not have a spiritual relationship, I imagine if you did not have a spiritual relationship at certain points in your life, that it was extremely difficult. And once you started to figure things out spiritually, it was a game changer. things started to make sense to you because as a Neptunian, you get it naturally. It just made sense to you. But there's a lot that must be overcome for one with this aspect to feel, how to say, like confident, strong, like really like in themselves, like to really feel good about their identity, I guess you could say, and clear also about their identity. Um, really have to watch out for energy vampires, people who are dishonest, because early on it can create someone who, trusts too easily. And Libra also, like I said, there's the potential for bad boundaries there. And yeah, it can create, yeah, that gullibility and people trying to deceive you and lots of insecurities from an early age. I think also that it can make one, yeah, trust too easy, right? Um, so this is definitely one where it's just like one has to go in deep within themselves, right? And it's really through that inner, that inner crusade that one, starts like stops any like what like let's say like because this can make someone feel like play victim and substances and all kinds of things, right? And really see themselves in a way that is very confusing and have and wrong, right? So sorry, turn on this man. So yeah, it's lots of self-doubt, and just just being like I always tell people, use your camera as a Neptunian, film yourself, don't show anyone. You can make Instagram if you want, or just whatever, just have it on your phone. Neptune rules cameras and mirrors. So if you can speak about yourself like a vlog, it is a game changer. I promise you. Game changer. And I have tons of clients who have given me back that feedback. Like, whoa, your idea, it worked like crazy. It's really helping me. But yeah, like just really, really being able to kind of get that energy out and to be able to define oneself is huge. So that's why I think that you are probably meant for service. You're probably meant for service in some type of way, or at least for really, really strengthening yourself spiritually, right? At the very least, that is for sure. Because the nature of this is self-deception, right? And yeah, what else can I add? I think, yeah, another thing that can come up with this is like the low self-esteem can create like a fear of moving forward, a fear of trying things, um, like a sort of like inertia. And Neptune 12th house can be about like this like continuous cycles, right? Like these like continuous cycles that aren't leading someone to their higher self. So, and it really definitely takes the solar power away from someone. Um, but like as a 12th house sun, you're meant to be putting that into an area of life that is more hidden and is more related to spirituality, right? So yeah, self-acceptance is huge, and maybe even a creative outlet is massive for this type of thing. And of course, with Neptune any kind of inner work, counseling, anything like that is huge. And yeah. But yeah, it is one that it's really about like the incremental gains. But I think that like even having just awareness of it is a game is a game changer. You know, that's like a step one. Um, so what else? What other areas of life did that? I mean, it covers everything. Yeah, I guess in romance too, like just it can lead to over idealism, and so yeah, always gotta watch out for the energy vampires. But yeah, really, really, really strong for psychic abilities, for intuitive abilities, for anything artistic, abstract. You know, you have this mad potential. It's just about, and you can find your like almost. And I'm not saying like a spiritual ego, but like through spirituality, you can really find like, oh, this is who I'm meant. Like this is what I'm meant to be doing. You know, this is why I'm here, right? That can be very, very helpful. Okay. So yeah, we understand Libra to Aries. Um, you know, just Aries seventh house. It is really, really, um, the quest for right human relations, letting go of kind of the ego-centered actions, the love life energy that I talked about before. That's kind of more less that's more surface level and really for more of that serious energy. Um, And North Node Aries, like I said, you are on a quest to become self-empowered, assertive, independence. Um, there's that past life tendency to be indecisive, to be, too considerate of the needs of others, too, relationship. This lifetime, it's still about relationships in the sense of deep ones. Like it's not about dating, it's about, you know, like being cool, being single, but like understanding that like the real relationships are all that matter. I get the sense with that square also that maybe like there was some type of like addiction or like something like not like like some type of like yeah almost like a addiction to kind of using love and in um dating, I guess, would be the modern example, as kind of something that's replacing something else, right? It's kind of covering something else up. So that's the goal, is yeah, to not do that. So yeah, really, really like you're here, Aries, North Node, you're here to discover your own identity, and really initiate things on your own, lead your own independence, and then be very, very firm in your partnerships. Yeah. So okay. So okay. So a Libra, Mercury by itself, it's very, very strong on your ascendant, but it's going to be create someone who's, you're the natural like peacemaker, the diplomat. I said that before. You're the person that people come. You're the communicator between two different sides. You don't like arguments. You're someone who talks in a very peaceful way, gifted gab, and very independent thinker. As the on the ascendant, right? And always, like I said before, always thinking that information. I already talked about that. So, mm, so yeah, like I love Mars and Capricorn so much. Like they're so successful. They're so good at overcoming bullshit. They're so good at just you know, like being a realist and just being like, all right, this is the way it is. What do we do now? And they can just work their ass off. I respect it. I respect it a lot. Um, they have strong ambitions. And Yeah, I mean that's the kind of person I would like to work with, you know. Definitely. So one interesting thing about Mars in the fourth is that it um it creates, and I know it's well, okay, well it'd be in the third and Placid, but whatever, like it's on the IC. So it creates makes the home environment very active. Like maybe someone who wants to work from home, someone who like a lot of people like want to relax at home, like you know, this placement's like someone who wants like an active home life, you know? Pretty interesting. Um, so what else can I say about this? Moon and Virgo. Think of some other things. Oh yeah, duh. There's a huge link with Virgo Moon between emotions and body, psychosomatic. That's really, really important. And yeah, I just wanted to add that in there. And a lot of times they have like, quite perfectionist, critical mothers, not always. But just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, just with the 12th house, it's like people with that, like they tend to have like their own secret, like kind of hidden world, that gives them comfort. Um, I know I always have as a Pisces. Um, and what's interesting is that you actually can potentially do better by doing things in seclusion. The public eye, mm, I don't know. Let's see. I mean, you have Saturn trine your midheaven, which is amazing. But then you have Pluto square it, so I don't know. I never want to tell someone to not chase like the public lights, but yeah, I don't know. Like 12th house, like they can just really, really, really benefit from, a long time and have the best ideas and work behind the scenes. A lot of times they like prefer to like have jobs like uh, in different places where they can work behind the scenes, um, have more peace, with the Libra. So okay, and also like Virgo moons. Another thing is that they can become workaholics and they can become ill when they're under stress from working too much, especially if it's the wrong kind of work. But Virgo moons also like they want to be of service, right? And then your Jupiter is in the sixth house, so you have a huge benefit when it comes to the day-to-day stuff, right? Like the day-to-day stuff, daily routine, your work, your health. This is amazing signifier for that being very positive, right? And Jupiter and Pisces, like these people are just like very spiritually, they're like just super spiritually evolved. Um, they are people who have this enormous compassion innately and this amazing intuition. And Jupiter makes everything bigger. So it makes everything Pisces bigger. So the fact that it's in the sixth house means that, and it's a retrograde, so it's like a very like internal philosophical person you are. But it makes you want to incorporate spirituality into your day-to-day life, which is why I think and then you have you Mercury trine Chiron. That's someone who can really put people at ease through their communicating, and you have Mercury rising. So you could be someone who could, be a healer for sure. Definitely, I see it. You want in your day to day, you don't want this kind of like bullshit. You want this. Esme, come here if you're gonna give me that face. You want this depth. You want this. You want to feel the divine in your day to day. Um. So. 27 Scorpio. So yeah, like either way you cut it, like finances, like there's definitely like a level of um of really, really needing to have one foot in the material, one foot in the spiritual world. If you're too far in the material, I think that could be bad. One thing about South Node in Libra too is that could be related to money also, because Venus is related to money. So, perhaps there's some money karma in this chart and lessons to be learned around that. And about trusting the divine and really understanding that you will be taken care of, um, as long as you're doing things for the greater good and really following your purpose, right? And you know yeah. So but then, like, I think also, so this is what's interesting, like you have, so you have Saturn in the third, with Uranus in the third. I believe that when you were growing up, you probably had a very, very, let's call it, different way of communicating, different way of putting yourself forward. And because you have that strong Mercury, maybe it kind of made people jealous, or maybe like very, very, maybe you were quite opinionated. I don't know. It is Libra, so it could be, maybe not so much in that sense, but definitely intelligent. And with Saturn third house, the fact that squares your moon, that's probably some feeling, some form of projection from one of your parents or both. And what happens with Chiron and Gemini people is that, and it's in the ninth house, is that you were most likely rejected for your own belief system. So you may have like belief things that were ahead of your time, more big picture than the family you grew up in. And because of that, with your Mercury, your Jupiter and Pisces and all that, um, there could have been a feeling of, and it's third house too, so it could have come from siblings, it could have come from like the early schooling, and it could have made you doubt your own intelligence, doubt your own thought process. Like, am I smart? Like, fuck, like, is my way of thinking flawed? Like a lot, and I see this with tons of clients, right? So, and then with Uranus in the third, that gives like a very, very, I guess you could say, it makes someone very quick, very like quick thinker, very original thinker, very unusual subjects that they're interested in, and they don't give a shit. So, I don't know. I see that in your chart, right? This misunderstood, and maybe being bullied, or maybe if not bullied, being I don't know, judged or some shit like that. So a little bit more in love. You have Juno and Sag. It's with Saturn, so your ideal partner, Sag, could be someone from a different culture. You definitely need to have like a philosophical kind of you know uh, I can't think of the word. Philosophical kind of vibe with them, and connection. And Saturn, you have to have that stability, right? Someone who's stable but also very adventurous, right? Who's down to go on all kinds of adventures, and be very open minded, but also who is willing to create these firm foundations. Moon and Virgo, they need that dependability. They need that dependability. And of course, Libra is all about love, and they're so good. Libras are so good at seeing the beauty in their partner. And then with the Venus and Scorpio, that gives that need for that person who's down to transform with you, who's down to be two souls that become one, that real intense type of love that I'm not down for. Joking. Um, but just that's really what I see with the love energy. You do have, Venus trine Jupiter. That's one of the best aspects in astrology. So good at putting people at ease. And it creates this like contagious natural enthusiasm. It makes those two houses, three and six, even better. So health and day to day, and then your mind, your communication. So that's or I mean your second house, which is your values and money and stuff of that nature. So that's great. Um, so let's see. Anything that we haven't brought up? Oh, and then you have Mercury square Mars. A lot of people with that. So this could also speak to what I was talking about with the issues early on, maybe with with the Chiron Gemini, is that it makes someone, it's a very close aspect. It creates difficulty concentrating, because there can be so many thoughts and ideas coming in at once, that it can make someone very talkative and lose sight of the essence of their conversation, and say a lot of stuff, and it can kind of sometimes rub people the wrong way. um so maybe there is something with your communication style that um you know led to some of this pain, but it was all very necessary because it's led you to where you are today. Um, Saturn trine midheaven means that when you find the right career, you can really, really stick to it. And midheaven in Leo, you want you want something that you can be really passionate about. It's not about showing off. Um, it's about something that lights your fire, as I've said before. So part of fortune represents your where you're the best, your flow state. It's like a equation with sun, moon, ascendant, and it's at 29 Virgo. So this is in the 12th house Virgo. It's basically saying that your best you is when you are being of service and really aligning with your innermost kind of, like with your inner self, like your inner spiritual self, like with deep spiritual purpose, and really really dialed in your day-to-day life feels very very good and very very authentic. Also, Jupiter sixth house, you can expand so much through pets. Not joking. Pets, amazing for you. You can have a very deep spiritual connection with them. Okay, moving forward. Mm, yeah, so like I said, the Saturn third house, it's like that fear of self-expression early on in childhood, um, or even like having it have been restricted. Okay. So Neptune in the fourth, that's very interesting because that can make someone like either like they can hold like kind of either over idealistic or under idealistic views of their childhood throughout their life. It's very interesting. So like they could have had like a horrible childhood, um and then like not remember, like, and literally like a lot of people with that like cannot remember their childhood. It's crazy. I've talked to so many people that have that. And yeah, so it's really about just like coming to terms with the realistic real version of it. Hold up. Okay. um so also there could have been like a sense of loss in relation to your family. That's something that shows up with that placement. But yeah, a lot of times people who have that, I talk to them, they're like, yeah, like I really just can't remember shit. Um, let's see here. So Black Moon Lilith is in Gemini. Interesting. Um, and then you got Palace. So it's in the ninth. So to me, that is about just like pushing, like just the importance of not pushing your philosophies, which are obviously going to be quite different and rebellious. Like pushing them too much on other people. Like different people come to, and like I do that shit, but like whatever. I mean, I don't. I used to, but like the point is that people come to their own truths at their own time. Um, and Gemini, Black Moon, Lilith, this is like it's not a plan. It's just like you at your worst, your lowest vibration. Obviously you have that gift of communication, but it's about not, it's about using it in the best way. Because sometimes people with this they can like manipulate and like talk people around to their way of thinking and not really listen to other people. So it's like it's about that like not always need the last word, and kind of just really being down to listen and really being down to hear other people's point of view and be open to change, right? Changing yours and not really feeling like everything is like a battle, right? And this is not something that you have, it's just a potential. um so yeah. Yeah, Vesta and Aries, that's someone who's meant to, maybe meant to be an entrepreneur. Very, very, self-motivated in your work. And yeah, like independent and yeah. But also it's Vesta in the seventh, so it can make someone, quite good when it comes to like business partnerships, but also like another way of looking at it is it makes someone very, very focused on intimate relationships. And someone who's like dedicated to working on themselves to better themselves for their relationships. And they can become very fixated on one important person. Um, Quite loyal. The vertex would be, yeah, 27. So yeah, vertex 8, gem. So yeah, your doorway to higher awareness is through, these intense experiences, these death, rebirth, the real, like the Scorpio stuff I was talking about, death, rebirth, transformation, the times where you have to really let go and be the snake that's shedding the skin. But also, with Gemini, it is through learning and through being open-minded and through having conversations with different people, with different views, and having the mantra, I know nothing. I enter each day, I know nothing. And also just like really attacking that perfectionism that and creating a lot of mindfulness around the fact that a Virgo moon can be very, very hard on themselves and that they can shut down, you know? So let's see. All right, let's pull, where's my book? Where's my book? Fixed stars. Okay. Yeah, so I definitely see you having been rejected for your beliefs. Like, I'd be very surprised if that was incorrect. All right, let's pull this shit up. Ooh, so you have Urania on your midheaven, which means that you could be an astrologer professionally. So dope. I'm gonna throw chewing tobacco in. Use my, use my. Yeah, yeah, it's on your midheaven. It's 2 degrees. Cool, man. It's not gross. It's not that chaw, that chaw. It's not packing the lip. Um, yeah, Urania's there. That's cool as fuck. Let's see if there's anything about one Leo. He's got some random stars. No. Okay. So let's go this way. 27, so nothing there. Yeah, also one thing I forgot to say is that you'll have very, very karmic and fated relationships. Okay. Hmm. None that I see. Ooh, here's one. Archamar, 1435, on your Jupiter. Archamar on the end of the Eridanus River possesses a Jupiter nature with a dash of Mars Uranus character. Interesting. Well placed, it promises happiness and success by giving good morals, faithful adherence to one's religious beliefs slash spiritual, or a philosophical inclination. According to tradition, uh, Achernar is credited with bestowing high offices in the church, especially if in conjunction to Jupiter, which you have. Cardinal blah 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 has blah blah. Mhm. The King of Poets, J.W. Goth, had Neo Moon. Einstein has something C. Okay, cool. Um, okay, you have Altair on your IC, so that just makes you like a natural leader. Mars 26, anything 26 cap? I don't think so. Nope. Um, Also Eros, so poetry and kind of eroticism could feature. What's this? So you just missed one of the worst ones. Good for you. Go good. Okay, now we're in Libra. This is where the magic happens. Let's see what I have on my list. Obviously, speed of that speed is not expecting. And then with this one, is that Hecate. Ooh, so that is a witch, like all about ceremonies. That's like shamanism, like all that stuff on your sun. Hecate. So that's one of the three witch asteroids. That's dope. Um, let's go through Libra here though. Ooh, so you have Arcturus on your Mercury. So observer of the Great Bear, blah, blah, Big Dipper, respectively main star of constellation Bootis, has a Jupiter Mars nature and a reputation for achieving justice through power. It therefore makes the native belligerent and quarrelsome, especially if attached to Mars and Jupiter, which you don't have. An enterprising spirit is here the rule, as indicated by Jupiter and Mars. Lasting success is promised if further good aspects are present. If critically aspected, which is not, blah, blah. There's a minor reference to the speaker is more positive. Okay, so cool. Um, and then yeah, so and then the moon is with Moon is with. Oh, we have Zosma on your moon. Okay. So in ancient astrology, Babylonian astrology, Zosma is one of the three astrologer, like truth seeker, like esoteric um fixed stars. So you have that on your moon in Virgo. So that's why I talk about Virgos as a very interesting moon because Zosma it makes someone really, really want to go out and get that information, get that really, really, really go beneath the surface. So that's awesome. That's a really great one to have. Um, the other ones are Hydra and Denebula. So yeah. Let me go back to this. Yeah, so of course you said anything related to occult spirituality, psychic gifts. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, we see a lot of this. There's a lot of of magic that you have, and it just has to be, it's 12th house. So the more you can spend time alone, um, doing things, learning about anything esoteric, the better. But one other thing about Black and Lilith in Gemini is the potential to try too many different things. So it's good to like focus, on a like on it's better to focus on two things and really become a master. Of course, it's good to like trial and error. You have to try a bunch of things to find the thing you're passionate about. But yeah, not to spread yourself too thin is kind of what I'm saying. All right, so I see here going back to my list that so you got just the reading. So if you want to add so most people they do the follow up and the current astrology. Um, so I would usually it's like a lot. But what I would do, I would be willing to offer you, just because you're awesome, the follow up, which is the hour live. So it's a live, where we go over first hour is the follow up. We go over just the natal chart, your lived experience compared to what I said today, and just cementing all information. And then after that, we go into current astrology. I would offer that for 350. Usually it's like 550 or something like that. More than that, I don't even know. But I'll give you the lowest offer I can possibly give if you're interested in that. And take your time. Most people need to watch it several times and take notes and stuff. And yeah, so like I go over everything in the current astrology. I do the transit, the solar return, the progress chart, the progress lunar cycle, the house ingress. We do it all. Solar arc. And it's usually a 3-hour session, as I said. And here's Felix, the boy, as he's named. Scorpio boy. So let me know if you're interested in that. If you want to do just the follow-up, um, I do that for 100. Um, so yeah, let me know. And besides that, thank you for everything. You're amazing. Appreciate your support. Very interesting chart. So much. I hope we can do the follow-up because there's, with charts like these, they're very, very interesting. Because there's such a massive amount of Libra, and it's yeah, I'm curious to hear. So thank you. Another 2-hour one. Damn. Um, appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed. Ciao.